Welcome to the great city of Hartford. It is incredible to be with all of you guys. Thank you to Riverfront Recapture, to all the staff that is here, and to Mike Zaleski for everything you do. We are so proud of this asset. There's a reason that Hartford was created on the river, by Native American tribes, by Dutch, and then English colonists afterwards. There's a reason that we planted on the river, and there's something innate within us that draws us to the river. I mean, we are not far from the north end of Hartford, and you can drive through neighborhoods in the north end of Hartford and not realize that you are a mile away from this incredible beauty here. And that is a part of what we're talking about today. This Joe Marfuji walk will help connect communities in the city of Hartford to the incredible beauty and nature that exists in our city and has existed for centuries in our city. And we are so proud of the impact that will make. It'll be less than a block from where Keeney Park is, and Keeney Park connects really every neighborhood in the north end of Hartford, and I'll get to that in a moment. It also connects us to our neighbors, and I'm here, our city council president, Shirley Surgeon, is here. I'm here as well with Nichette Black-Burke, the mayor of Windsor. We're so proud to have this physical connection between the city of Hartford and Windsor, and we're already connected, obviously, across the bridge to East Hartford, hoping to build the connection down the river to Weathersfield over the course of time. Hartford as the center of this greater Hartford area of 1.2 million people, more and more will be connected in a physical way to all of those people through the incredible nature, through this river, this Connecticut River, this incredible body of water that has initially drew people to this area and will continue to be an engine for the growth of nature, growth and preservation of nature, and an economic driver for generations to come. It's also going to be a part of connecting our own city together. This grant comes after last year, in which the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, under the leadership of Commissioner Dykes and Governor Lamont, who we're going to speak in a moment, awarded the city of Hartford a grant for $360,000 to do a planning study on connecting the entirety of the city through something kind of similar to the High Line in New York, a series of trails that go through, in this case, the many beautiful parks we have across the city. One of the great legacies of this city is one of our great notable Hartford residents, Frederick Law Olmsted, who in many ways created the idea of a park. Came out of the city of Hartford and built these incredible parks. For a city this size, to have the incredible park infrastructure we have, it is incredible. It's a real blessing and a gem to all of us. And we're going to work over the next several years on connecting Keeney Park to the river, connecting down through Colt Park into the south end, Pope Park into Bushnell Park, to make sure that all across the city of Hartford, where 40% of our residents have no meaningful access to a car, that folks can get around our city, into our downtown, in through our neighborhoods, on foot, on bike, on scooter, with strollers. On weekends, there's going to be folks out running, people pushing strollers, and people are going to be able to get to work that way. And the riverfront is a big piece of that. In so many ways, this is a central building block to the future connectivity of the city, the future connectivity of this region, and a connection that runs through the heart of the beauty of this region that we all cherish and love so much. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection and this governor for seeing that vision, for investing in that vision, for working to make that a reality. Our partners at Riverfront Recapture are such a core part of building the city of tomorrow and reimagining our riverfront, but could not do it without the support of the state government, and that is why we're here today. And I thank you all for all you have done to be a part of that, and I'll invite up Katie Dykes, the Commissioner of DEEP, who has been a champion for this riverfront, a champion for this city, and a champion for urban communities connecting to nature.
So exciting. Thank you so much, Arun. Your vision is so thrilling. I think from one of our first meetings when you became mayor, you talked about this goal and this passion about connecting communities, and I'm so glad that DEEP can be a support. We are thrilled to be here today. We are celebrating specifically a $517,519 grant to Riverfront Recapture, which will be utilized to install trailside amenities, including plantings and signage and benches associated with the construction of the Joe Marfuji River Walk and Galleries in Hartford's historic Riverside Park. And as you heard from the mayor, it'll feature a multimodal trail, and 4 scenic overlooks at the river's edge, connecting the main paved river walk to an existing single-track trail that's running along the top of the riverbank. This is just incredible because this project, funding this part of this project is part of a broader strategy that you heard, is helping to connect communities in so many exciting ways. And supporting this grant is just one of several that we are thrilled to be moving forward this year as part of the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Grant Program, or OSWA. Supporting open space opportunities is one of my favorite parts of DEEP's mission. The funds for this project are being provided for through the OSWA program, and actually for another program within it called the Urban Green and Community Gardens Grant Program, or UGCG. And it's one of 6 such grants that total $725,000 that were announced by Governor Lamont last week to support the creation of 6 new community green spaces in communities around the state. And Governor Lamont also announced last week another $14.3 million in additional open space and watershed land acquisition funds, which will aid in the purchase and protection of more than 2,270 acres of open space through 25 properties in 22 towns. Was that applause? Let's hear it. We are going to be funding these projects in cities across Connecticut, and I know some of the awardees are here today, so congratulations to all of you. This has been, protecting open space is something that's been in Connecticut's DNA. It's been part of our values for many, many years. We have a state law that set a goal of protecting 673,000 acres of the state's land base. That's 21% of our land base as open space. It calls for 10%, which is to be held of that 21%. 10% to be acquired by DEEP as part of the state's system of parks and forests and fisheries and natural resource management areas, and 11% to be acquired by DEEP's partners, which include municipalities and nonprofit land conservation organizations and water companies. And as of December 2024, we estimate that our partners hold approximately 255,000, which is 72% of the share of the private share of the state's open space goal, and DEEP is 82% of the way towards our goal. So in total, that means that we have 520,000 acres that have been preserved. We're leaving another 154,000 acres remaining to meet the 21% open space goal. Anyway, that's a lot of stats, but the point is, what's really important is that since this open space program started back in 1998, we've invested more than $190 million in state funding in municipalities and nonprofit land conservation organizations and water companies to assist in the protection of those acres. And from large tracts of land to small pocket parks, the group of projects that were announced by Governor Lamont last week benefits a variety of communities across the state. We're really excited about this. And look, we have, with all the funding in the world and good intention, we can only go so far. But the way that this program is so successful is because of the hard work of volunteers and the vision of mayors and land trusts and community members who believe in the importance of open space and who are doing all the hard work to find these properties and acquire these properties and help to move them forward. So that makes our job a pleasure, to be able to invest in communities and invest in all of those folks who are coming together to make this possible. One of the things I'm really personally proud of is something that we have worked on at DEEP and with the state legislature to make changes to these programs to remove barriers to participation and enable more communities across the state to benefit, especially some of our urban communities. When I first started as the DEEP commissioner, although we didn't have a ton of applications coming from cities like Hartford for the UGCG program, but we were able to work together with the OSWA board and with the legislature to make some really important tweaks to the program, including helping to provide some funding for nonprofit partners to help work with municipalities to move these projects forward. And lo and behold, we found that 10 of the 31 awardees in the program this year across the 2 programs took advantage of some of these program changes, and we hope to see that these numbers will only increase in the years to come. And so in the 2 rounds since implementation, the pace of land conservation through these programs has increased by nearly 50% compared to the previous 5 rounds, with an average of 24 acres protected per grant round. This latest grant round that Governor Lamont announced last week is the 27th grant round under both under these programs. And we have, we're not content with our success. We're ready for more, and so we have already opened the application period for the 28th grant round for UGCG and OSWA, and the deadline to submit applications is November 3rd, 2025. So that's some of the background of what this program is. Enormous contribution to land conservation. This means so much for communities all across the state, but it's not possible without some of the incredible partners that bring these projects forward, and you're going to hear from several of them, starting with Mike Zaleski. Love to have Mike join us. He's the president and CEO of Riverfront Recapture. Mike, if you could say a few words, it'd be great to hear.
Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. Welcome to Riverside Park and the Riverfront Recapture Park System. It is absolutely great to be surrounded by so many friends of the Connecticut River. The governor, the commissioner, the congressman, Congressman Larson. I don't know who's the best friend of the Connecticut River, but they're standing behind me right now. As well as our municipal partners who have been rock solid in their support of what Riverfront Recapture is doing to connect people with the Connecticut River. Thank you to all of our friends. They all understand the importance of this majestic river that's behind me, and they're committed to helping us achieve our mission of connecting people with the Connecticut River. And a special welcome to all of you this is your first time visiting Riverside Park or the Riverfront Recapture Park System. We are very proud of this park system in Hartford, East Hartford, and soon Windsor. And we hope that you come back to explore our trails, our parks, our programs, our events and festivals. There's a lot going on throughout the year. We attract almost 1 million people throughout the year interacting with our Riverfront Parks programs and activities. So riverfront.org, come on back to these parks and have a great time during the summer and throughout the year. We stand in this historic park that was built in the 1890s. It's just as important today to the community as it was more than 125 years ago. A generational investment was made in the community with the building of this Riverside Park, and we're thrilled that the state of Connecticut recognizes that enduring value of parks and green space and has made this award today. So thank you to the state of Connecticut and the DEP for their support. This Urban Green and Community Gardens grant to Riverfront Recapture will fund the Joe Marfuji Riverwalk, which will start just to my right over here. It will soon be an accessible multimodal riverwalk trail that will extend more than 2 miles to the north. It will connect to a wonderful new riverfront park that we are building, the town of Windsor, and ultimately Windsor Meadow State Park, ultimately connecting almost a dozen miles of riverwalk connectivity along the river in Greater Hartford. This 2-mile stretch has been named after my predecessor, Joe Marfuji, the former CEO of Riverfront. He spent 28 years dedicating his life and his career to connecting the people of Greater Hartford to the Connecticut River. We're excited to honor him with this new Riverwalk connection. But it's more than just a trail from one place to another. The Joe Marfuji Riverwalk will tell the history of the Connecticut River here in Greater Hartford. Visitors will stop along the way to learn how the river has evolved and who has lived along the river for centuries. We are very proud to partner with UConn's Resilient Cities, Racism and Equity Department to develop a comprehensive history of the Connecticut River in Hartford. This Urban Green and Community Gardens grant will help make all of that possible. I think it's also important to note that this grant leverages both state DOT funding and a little more than $1 million in private funding that Riverfront Recapture is bringing to the Riverwalk project. A truly great public-private partnership that we're excited to be part of. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mayors. Thank you, Congressman Larson, for all of your support and investing in open space and green spaces. It's incredibly important for the safety and for a thriving community. Thanks all.
All right, next I'd like to welcome the Mayor of Bristol, Jeff Cagliano.
Thank you, Katie, and I'll start off with thank you, Katie, and the governor for their ability to help people walk and chew gum at the same time. And I'll get to this story. The governor was with me and a couple months ago, and we walked one of the trails very close to where we got our last OSWA grant in the city of Bristol. And he talked to me about the fact that we need to look at development downtown, which Bristol has come up with a great revitalization plan, and we've seen a lot of new things. But we also need to have trails and for people to go. So we don't have a river that runs through it in the city of Bristol, but this second grant, the OSWA grant for the Burge Pond Hoppers property, is one that has been in the making since 1977. So there was a piece of private land that was on glacial eskers, and the governor and I learned what eskers were when he was in our other open space grant land area. And this group has come together and asked many leaders over the past almost 50 years now to try to preserve this piece of land so that we can continue to be the #1 hiking state in the country. I'll say that again. Most people don't know that Connecticut is the #1 place in the country for hiking, and the main reason is that we're making this accessibility very close to where people live, so everybody has a very short walk, Uber ride, or bike ride, or other mode of transportation to get to that walk. So again, I want to thank the governor and Katie. I also want to thank Dawn Ledger, who is here from our grants department in the city of Bristol. She's been in the city of Bristol longer than I've been mayor, so as I said, this has gone on for a long time, and we're very happy about that. The final group that I do want to just call out real quickly, because what this means for local communities is extremely important as well, is the Friends of the Hopper group. So Michelle Rudy and John Schischler, and I did get his name right, I think, wrote me a note and said, 48 years ago, they made a request to previous administrations. We've been through this a bunch of times, and the grant, although it's a relatively small grant in combination with all of the other grants that we've talked about here, is going to take that private property that would have been mined and would have really damaged the overall structure of the Burge Hopper area. It's only about 11-acre purchase that we have here, but it's extremely important to the community, so I wanted to call them out. And again, I want to thank everybody here for preserving our land, and I know we have a housing crisis here, but we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So thank you very much.
All right. So the next individual I want to welcome up has just been an amazing leader for land conservation in the state. She's just been a terrific advocate, and being that constant voice around the importance of continuing to have more support and more funding for things that we're announcing today. So I'd love to welcome and thank Amy Patterson from the Connecticut Land Conservation Council.
Hope these microphones can pick me up. Again, I'm Amy Patterson, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Connecticut Land Conservation Council. CLCC is the statewide umbrella organization for Connecticut's 120 or so land trusts and the communities that they serve. Thank you. On behalf of CLCC, I'd first like to thank Governor Lamont for his steadfast leadership and deep commitment to land conservation, climate resilience, and equitable access to the outdoors. Thank you so much, Governor. I also want to thank Commissioner Dykes, Chief of Staff Andrew Hoskins, Lindsay Sir, and the team at DEEP's Office of Land Acquisition and Management, and members of the General Assembly, with a special shout out to Representatives Gresco, Napoli, and Piscopo as members of the OSWA Review Board, as well as Representative Maria Horn, Chair of the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, and Kathy Austin, Senator and Chair of the Appropriations Committee. Together, your support makes it possible for communities across the state to undertake transformative projects like this one. It's a true pleasure to be here at the site of the 2025 UGCG grant recipient, Riverfront Recapture. Congratulations. A shining example of how green space investments in urban areas can revitalize neighborhoods, strengthen community connections, and ensure more people have access to nature's many benefits. To the municipalities, land trusts, water companies, and community-based organizations being recognized today, congratulations especially to you. These grants reflect your vision, commitment, and hard work to conserve land and create welcoming, accessible spaces for everyone. At CLCC, we're proud to support the state's land conservation efforts through our leadership on the review board and also on CJAC, as well as our grant programs to help Land Trust get OSWA projects across the finish line. Our shared goal with Governor Lamont, with the members of the Connecticut General Assembly, is to expand and improve access to these critical programs, especially in historically underserved communities. Whether it's protecting vast forested landscapes, creating neighborhood gardens, or connecting people to riverfronts like this one, these projects matter. They help us confront climate change, safeguard wildlife and biodiversity, build healthier communities, and foster a deep sense of place. We believe that everyone everywhere deserves access to nature, close to home, every day. The OSWA and UGC programs exemplify the power of public-private partnerships, community engagement, and smart policy. We celebrate what's been accomplished today and look forward tremendously to what is coming ahead. Congratulations again. Thank you all again. And we look forward to your applications coming in.
Of course, we would not be here today to talk about these awards without the legislature putting their money where their mouth is and making generous authorizations of bond funding, as well as supporting the funding for our terrific staff at DEEP who helped to make these programs move forward. And so I'm really excited that my friend Joe Gresco is here. He's been a leader on the Environment Committee for many, many years. And we've worked on so many terrific improvements for environmental protection and land conservation together. And I'm just glad to have him here and hope he'll say a few words.
Maybe rude. Thank you. Appreciate everyone coming out today. I know it was a tough one to get you to come out on a day like today. But again, I wanted to say thank you, first of all, to my speaker, Matt Ritter, who made me the individual, the legislator on the OSWA board many years ago, and it's been a pleasure to work with Amy, the commissioner, of course Andrew, and especially Lindsay, who has to put up with us. But it's a pleasure, and we look forward to moving forward on trying to reach that 21% goal. You know, at an environmental forum many years ago, someone once said that decisions made in the state of Connecticut should be viewed through an environmental lens. And that individual was Governor Lamont. So I'm glad to see and continue to experience his continued commitment to that by just one example of why we're here today and hopefully, going forward. And then lastly, right before I finished my tenure as the chair of the Environment Committee, we did make some changes to the qualifications and guidelines for the open space to kind of open it up, modernize it, but open it up to additional municipalities that I'm very happy to see are taking advantage of it. So it's been a pleasure, and we look forward to continue the work. Thank you.
And of course, while we're talking so much today about state funding, federal funding is also really critical to many of the efforts that we've been able to make to preserve open space and support the environment here in the state. And I'm so pleased that Congressman John Larson is joining us today to say a few words.
Well, thank you, and it's great to be here, and especially to evoke the name of Joe Marfucci. Reminds me of that line, Governor, from Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He had vision while the rest of the world was wearing bifocals. And when it came to this river, as has been pointed out by the commissioner, it's a river that just doesn't run through us, it unites us. And this connection to Windsor and Hartford and Windsor coming together, and never forget east of the river in East Hartford, and the people in South Windsor too. This is so vitally important because, in fact, it does connect it. on this magnificent day. It's nice to know that we have a chief of state, and also a chief of state who cares deeply not only about the state, but about its natural resources and what they mean to the people that occupy this great state in this river valley. I commend Governor Lamont for all of his work, and the General Assembly and Matt Ritter for their efforts here, understanding the significance and importance of not just recapturing this river, but making it such a vibrant part of our lives as it has since its founding. At the federal level, our colleagues all joined together to make sure that we continue the funding that's going to be necessary to make sure that this effort is only enhanced and widened and broadened so that everyone gets to know and participate in what all of you already understand. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Congressman. Now, you heard that Connecticut is the #1 state for hiking in the country, and I would also submit, I think we have the #1 governor for hiking in the country. Who here has been on a walk or a hike with Governor Lamont? I think I have to say, boss, it's one of the best things in this job is getting to work for someone who is personally so passionate about folks getting outdoors and making access to the outdoors and investment in land conservation part of our mission and our lasting legacy for the people of Connecticut. We've done so much for open space under your leadership, and I know that that reflects your priorities when it comes to the Bond Commission and making these dollars available. As anyone who's spent time around Governor Lamont knows, from during the pandemic, keeping our parks open and supporting this program and so many others, it's very personal, and your passion and commitment to this means so much to all of us. So, Governor, we'd love to have you say a few words.
Yeah, you got me there, Katie. 3,000 acre preserve in Sharon. You ever been on that hike? That's pretty steep. It's a good challenge. And Jeff, I remember our hike. You've got open space there in Bristol, and also preserving that downtown 10 acres, and what we're talking about right here. Look, as Katie said, over the last year or so, we preserved well over 2,000 acres, and we have a way to go. We're a really densely packed state, so we have to think about where you want this state to be over the next 50 years and make those plans now. And that means making sure we have not just hundreds of acres of open space, thousands preserved this year alone, but also make sure it's easily accessible. And that's what this is what we're doing here today. Doing better to connect Windsor and East Hartford. I really wanted to connect Neuchâtel and Arunin. I thought that was very important to do, and we could do that through this path that makes a big difference. Look, I heard from so many of you. Where's Kevin? Kevin there. He went to high school near here. There, the track and field would just go running along the river as far as they could. Then you get to this 60-acre place that used to be a dumping site. It was not very accessible, not very pretty. And that's the 60 acres that we've got now, and this is going to connect all the way from Windsor all the way down through, yes, East Hartford and, Glastonbury and Wethersfield and beyond. Look, there are a lot of other states that have 1,000-acre parks, Yosemite and Yellowstone. But Connecticut is unique, and the reason we're ranked so highly as a place for hiking is accessible. It's easy to get to. You could, go from the high school here right up to Windsor, and if you can ride your bike from Windsor and be at work at Travelers and not too long away. And that's what makes this state really unique. And we got to plan and think about how we do that very carefully. And that's what this is all about. We're just getting started. And as Jeff said, look, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We're going to have vibrant urban downtowns. We're going to have vibrant downtowns and even our small towns as well, places for our young people to live. But it's a much higher quality life. The reason NBC just ranked this as top 5 in the country for quality of life is not just health care. It's not just our amazing school system. It's amazing parks, amazing beaches, easily accessible for everybody. I love it. It's the cheapest form of therapy you could ask for coming out of a long day at the legislature. Thanks, everybody.